10 years after the entry into force of the Rome Statute and the start of activities of the Court, the time is ripe, in my opinion, for a thorough evaluation of the US relationship with the ICC. What are the reasons behind the US position, and are there elements that suggest that the US may return to their historic pattern of support for international criminal justice? Due to time constraints, in order to answer to these questions, I decided to focus today on 3 points. First, I will briefly focus on the main phases of the relationship between the ICC and the US. Second, I will take into consideration the main arguments brought against the US ratification of the ICC statute. And finally, I will consider the possible evolution of the US position, also in view of the US approach to other international criminal tribunals and more generally to the fight against impunity, as well as the agendas of the presidential candidates. So the first point, I've asked to distribute a document collecting all the main acts that the US government has taken in relation to the International Criminal Court. As you may have noticed, 2 main phases can be identified. The first phase, following the adoption of the Rome Statute, which, as I told you before, the US voted against, the US took a very hostile attitude towards the court. US actions were not limited to condemning the court. Indeed, US diplomats and legislators in the first years following the adoption of the statute adopted an aggressive stance aiming at limiting the capacity of the court towards US nationals.